What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the stimulus package update, the physical infrastructure package, the daily news, pretty much everything going on here with our country, money, investing, the stock market, everything you need to know about. Remember that new videos come out here on our channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. I will keep you up to date with everything, the stimulus package, and everything you need to know about on a daily basis. I'm here for you every single day. So remember late last night, they were on the voting floor on the House of Representatives with the stimulus package and the physical infrastructure package. And I said that they could still be voting last night. And then this happened. You can see here, this is for the physical infrastructure package last night. 215 Democrats voted yes, 6 Democrats voted no, 13 Republicans voted yes, and 200 Republicans voted no with this bill passing last night, as you can see here on the screen.
On this vote, the yeas are 228 and the nays are 206. The motion is adopted.
Okay, so note here, pay attention. They passed the $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure package last night, not the stimulus package. However, they did advance the social spending package, the stimulus package, in a procedural vote. I'll give you the details of it here right now. House Democrats late Friday night clinched a long-sought victory on President Biden's domestic agenda, passing the $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure bill, while advancing an even larger social spending package, which is now just under $2 trillion. It's somewhere in the $1.85 trillion range. It's now over $1.75 trillion as they're adding more things to the bill literally on a daily basis. After months of stubborn fighting, that's bedeviled the party and helped deflate Biden's public standing. The back-to-back votes came after progressives caved on a key demand they've maintained for months: their insistence that the climate and social spending package be passed on the same day. So progressives caved and basically gave up the demand that the stimulus package be passed and the infrastructure package side by side. So that did not happen. On Friday, they shed that stipulation and threw their weight behind the public works bill, the physical infrastructure package, which has already passed the Senate, and helped to send it, which will go to President Biden's desk. They ultimately agreed to a procedural vote on the social spending bill, which short of the full passage. The tally on the infrastructure bill was 228 to 206, with 13 Republicans also supporting the measure. 6 progressive Democrats bucked President Biden and said no, and voted no on the bill. The House then adopted a procedural rule establishing floor debate parameters for the 1.75 social trillion-dollar stimulus package bill, which is actually a little bit more than that. It's somewhere around $1.85 trillion. And they voted on this procedural rule with 221 votes to 213, basically all Democrats voting yes for it and all Democrats voting, or all Republicans voting no. To get the bill passed required a long day of tense negotiations, marathon meetings, general chaos that eroded only after feuding factions, liberals and moderates huddled into late night meetings to hash out a written agreement that broke the progressive blockade on the infrastructure bill. By the way, they do have a somewhat kind of an agreement here for that bill, which actually has an agreement on the stimulus package between moderate Democrats in the House. Here is that agreement. The 11th hour deal between the Progressive Caucus and the moderate Blue Dog Democrats and the Congressional Black Caucus would allow the House to pass the $1.2 trillion infrastructure package, which is now passed, as well as pass a rule setting up future votes on the stimulus package and the climate spending package. The three-way agreement calls for a written commitment that moderates will vote for the $1.75 trillion social spending package, the stimulus package. This is moderates from the House only. This does not include Joe Manchin from the Senate. If the Congressional Budget Office score of the bill is in line with White House estimates, and the statement would be backed by Biden. The result of those talks was a written commitment from 5 moderate Democrats, Representative Josh Gottheimer from New Jersey, who is the co-leader of the Problem Solvers Caucus, Ed Case from Hawaii, Stephanie Murphy from Florida, Kathleen Rice from New York, and Kurt Schrader from Oregon, to support the social spending package, aka the stimulus package. If the yet to be released cost estimate from the Congressional Budget Office is consistent with a White House analysis no later than the week of November 15th, which is in about 9 days, and they will vote on it no later than that. So basically, they're going to vote on it no later than in a few days. And in the House of Representatives, it will be signed, sealed, and delivered no later than that. Now, this actually gives time for you guys to reach out to your representatives, your senators, and still advocate to, if you want things added, like a stimulus check for adults into this package. They've been adding a lot of things here literally at the last moment. So let me think about this. They've added paid family and medical leave for pretty much all Americans, as well as mothers that would go to give birth and would now get paid family and medical leave for 4 weeks. Anybody that catches an illness, medical leave. They've also added lowering the cost of prescription drugs. All that was literally just added within the last few days. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs for tens of millions of Americans, which will be a significant cost savings for, as I said, tens of millions of Americans. All that was just added in within the last few days. They've also added the SALT tax deduction, which is SALT that stands for state and local tax, SALT, state and local tax. That was a demand by several moderate Democrats from New York, New Jersey, and California, higher tax states that want to raise the state and local tax deduction, where if you pay more than $10,000 in state and local taxes, that you should be able to deduct them on your taxes. That has now been added into the package literally just yesterday, I believe. So they are literally adding things into the package here on a daily basis. So they can still be adding more things in literally at the last moment. So I definitely recommend reach out to your representatives, your senators, and now is the time to say, hey, we need stimulus checks in there for adults, in addition to the checks that are already in there for children, called the child tax credits. They are going to add, or they are going to have monthly checks in there for children, $250 to $300 per month for 1 year, called the child tax credits are in there. So now is the time to reach out to them as they're adding in these things right now, as well as say, hey, we also need the $800 stimulus debit card, the Medicare debit card in there for seniors as well. They're debating on that as well. So now is the time to add, or to, reach out to your senators and representatives and say, listen, make sure that there are stimulus items in there for the people, in addition to what is already in there: paid family and medical leave, lowering the cost of prescription drug pricing, free preschool for families, lowering the cost of childcare, which will be a significant saving for millions of Americans, as well as Medicare benefits for seniors, hearing benefits, hearing aid benefits, And there's going to be several different things that are in there. Rental assistance is going to be in there, $25 billion more of rental assistance. We're going to have to really see all the things that are going to be in there because literally things are changing by the moment. Before I forget, let me show you what's in the physical infrastructure package bill now that that is passed. So here it is. The $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure bill is now passed because the Senate's already passed it. I believe it was in August. Now it's passed the House and will go to the president. As you can see here, this will provide billions of dollars for every single state and will provide millions of jobs over the course of the next 8 to 10 years. $110 billion for roads, bridges, and major projects. $66 billion for passenger and freight rail, $39 billion for public transit, $25 billion for airports, $17 billion for port infrastructure. So, ports that are literally struggling right now to get your goods, and the supply chains that are struggling to literally bring goods in are going to get a huge mass amount of infrastructure and money pumped into them. So, hopefully, that'll help alleviate our supply chains right now that are struggling to bring goods in right now. All those ships that are offshore right now and are struggling, hopefully that'll help. Transportation safety programs, $11 billion. Electric vehicles, literally more and more car manufacturers, Tesla stock right now, GM, Ford, uh, literally every major car manufacturer right now is making electric vehicles. They say it's the future of cars right now. All major manufacturers are making electric vehicles. $7.5 billion for electric vehicles. Zero and low emission buses and ferries, $7.5 billion. They're literally going to be making uh, low emission and zero emission buses for children and schools so the children are not riding on diesel buses, which are pretty nasty, to be honest. If you ever smelt a diesel school bus, literally will make you choke. So yeah, a lot of different things here just in this first column here. $1 billion of revitalization of community. Other infrastructure here, $65 billion for broadband for communities across the United States. $73 billion in power infrastructure. We'll have to see if this broadband will go and see any money added to it for the uh, broadband stimulus money, where they have money in there for to help kind of pay for people's internet stimulus package, where they're paying $50 per month for the stimulus internet fund. So we'll have to see if anything gets added in there going forward for that. $73 billion for power infrastructure. When we think about when Texas lost power for, I can't even remember how long it was, several days. Power infrastructure will be upgraded across the country. $55 billion for clean drinking water. They're going to remove the lead pipes across the United States everywhere. So from what they say, every single lead pipe anywhere in the United States will eventually be removed. They're going to spend $55 billion on that. $50 billion on resilience and Western water storage, and $21 billion on removal of pollution from water and soil. So, a lot of this stuff is making things cleaner, removing pollution, upgrading our roads, our bridges, our airports, our major projects, our freights, our infrastructure, our waterways, our transit, electric vehicles, our ports, literally everything, our transportation, our safety programs, our children, our buses, our schools, all these things that you can see here. And it's going to create a lot of jobs doing this because all this stuff has to have people doing it. So they're going to say this is going to create millions of jobs over the course of the next 8 to 10 years because all these things have to have people doing the jobs. And it's going to go to all the states, and there's going to be literally billions of dollars going to each state. So there's going to be a lot of jobs doing it, a lot of money doing it. And hey, it's had bipartisan. Some Republicans voted for it. A lot of Democrats voted for it. Even Mitch McConnell voted for it. So it's finally voted and it's passed. Now, this physical infrastructure package was a bit of a surprise because literally just yesterday, the Democratic Progressive Caucus was saying they weren't going to vote for it because the stimulus package was supposed to be voted for first. Now, just so everybody's clear, just to clarify this yet again, the stimulus package is not passed. The physical infrastructure package is passed. They advanced the stimulus package with just a procedural vote, but the stimulus package is not passed. Okay. Um, just so everybody's clear on that. The physical infrastructure package is passed. The stimulus package is still being worked on. Okay. So everybody's clear on that yet again. Okay. Um, and the stimulus package is going to be voted on in the House first. Then it's going to have to go to the Senate. Okay. And this kind of makes it a little bit more difficult because now the physical infrastructure package is going to the president. And you don't have this kind of little bit of an insurance policy where, like Joe Manchin, they could have maybe held this over the physical infrastructure package over his head a little bit. But if you remember, if you go back months ago, I said it initially, if you remember this, you've been watching my channel for a while. I said initially, I didn't really think they needed the physical infrastructure package as an insurance policy. I've always kind of said that from the beginning. That was really just my kind of thoughts. I really didn't think they needed to go that route. And I kind of still maintain that position, but we'll see. So now the physical infrastructure package is passed the House and the Senate. It will go to the president. We'll see if he signs that today or what happens with that. I'll keep you up to date on that. But physical infrastructure package passed House and Senate. It's gone. Stimulus package is now waiting in the House. They're waiting on the Congressional Budget Office to score it. Okay. They also have this agreement now. It's kind of the agreement that they had that these 5 moderate Democrats will vote on it here in the next few days if the Congressional Budget Office doesn't come back with the report before then, that they'll vote on it. From what I understand, maybe I'll have to get more clarification on that. I mean, really, this is just kind of breaking news here. That they'll vote on it anyways if the Congressional Budget Office doesn't come back before then. I mean, we'll have to see what will happen there. And if the Congressional Budget Office doesn't come back and it's not different. Now, here's where things could get a little different, I guess, to maybe say, is that the House is going to pass this, and then it's going to go to the Senate. And that's where things are going to get maybe a little bit different because of, well, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, right? Dun, dun, dun. And also the Senate parliamentarian. Um, the House has some immigration things in the bill as of this moment. And I don't know if I would say that that's a mistake. Maybe I think that that's maybe the Democrats trying to send a symbolic message that, remember, Democrats tend to be more pro-immigration, more sympathetic towards immigrants and immigration. Republicans tend to be less sympathetic towards immigration, less pro-immigration. And I'm not choosing side. That's just kind of typically how, if I'm just generalizing, right? Um, so I think Nancy Pelosi's just kind of sending a message here that they're sympathetic towards the immigration measures that they have in this stimulus package, but I ultimately don't think they're going to pass because I think the Senate parliamentarians have already ruled once that they shouldn't be included in this package, and ultimately I think she's going to rule them out again. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that maybe one of them she might rule could be in there. There's several different immigration measures here. But ultimately, she's probably going to rule them out. Now, whether she rules them all out, we'll see. Now, remember that any measure that the parliamentarian says shouldn't be included is just a recommendation. And the Senate can always just overrule her with just the 50 to 51 votes. But Joe Manchin will probably not overrule her because he's a stickler with the basically Joe Manchin's idea when it comes to the parliamentarian is basically if the parliamentarian says it shouldn't be included, that's what he's going to go with for the most part. Now, it doesn't mean that he might not change his mind on something, but basically, if the parliamentarian says that something shouldn't be included, he's probably not going to vote for it. And if you don't get Joe Manchin's vote, just as one person, it's not going to pass because you need every single Democratic senator to pass anything at this point, okay? Because you need all 50 votes. So, including Bernie Sanders, Kirsten Sinema, or Joe Manchin, or anybody, okay? You need every single Democratic senator to vote for this because there's not a single Republican that's going to vote for anything on this stimulus package at all, okay? So, if you were getting any Republican votes at all, then you could be like, okay, well, we don't need Joe Manchin because of this. Now, in the next election, if the Democrats keep the Senate, and the House, and if the Democrats gain a few votes, then they could be like, well, we don't need Joe Manchin because we now have 51 votes or 52, just as an example, right? So then they could be like, we don't need Joe Manchin because we have 51 votes now, so we can afford one defection, right? So nobody cares about Joe Manchin anymore because we have one extra vote to spare, right? This is just as an example scenario. But as of right now, Joe Manchin's like the most important person because that one vote kills the whole deal, right? You also have Kirsten Sinema to kind of worry about, but she seems to be not nearly as much of an issue. She's an issue on a couple things like corporate taxes and a little bit of pharmaceutical issues and a little bit of raising the taxes on the rich issues. Those don't seem to be that big of an issue because they have enough pay-fors for this stimulus package, and it seems like they're keeping some of those pay-fors for the next stimulus package. Remember that there's going to be another stimulus package after this. The whole basic idea right now is that let's just pass this stimulus package 1.75, 1.85 trillion, what 1.95 trillion, whatever it's going to end up being, the total. Let's pass it now. Let's just agree on it. Let's get it passed. Let's get it out as soon as possible. The physical infrastructure package is now passed, okay? So let's just agree on what we can agree on. Let's get it passed. Then we're going to go on with the next stimulus package, and that'll be the other half. Okay, because remember, this bill was supposed to be $3.5 trillion. Finally, Congress got a win. They've passed the physical infrastructure package. It's basically about 90% Democrats, about 10% Republicans. Um, so the Democrats are going to call it a win, but the Republicans helped a little bit, especially in the Senate where there was 19 Republicans. I believe there were 69 votes out of the 100 there. Mitch McConnell voted for it as well. So remember, they needed 60 votes in the Senate. They didn't pass that with reconciliation. They passed it with the good old regular 60 vote process. They actually got 69 votes for that. Back when Republicans and Democrats somehow learned how to agree, which did it seems forever ago, but it was back in August, which God seems like eons ago, right? But somehow Democrats and Republicans agreed on anything back then. So, and don't forget that the Democrats still need to raise the debt limit in T minus less than a month by December 3rd in this stimulus package. Because remember, the Republicans and Democrats now hate each other. And Mitch McConnell says that they're never going to do a deal with the Republicans or the Democrats ever again for the debt limit. So they have to pass it in the House and the Senate by then and raise the debt limit in this stimulus package. Or else the country will default. The Treasury will run out of money. Social Security payments will not go out. Child tax credit payments will go out. That December 15th child tax credit payment won't even go out because the country will run out of money before then. So there's a lot of at stake to even do that before then. So yeah, but nonetheless, a big win for the country. Late last night, they were literally in session for like over 12 hours yesterday. So they got a win. Good win for our country. Infrastructure has been something that both Republicans and Democrats have been trying to do for a while. So now the next stimulus package, which is really kind of part one, and then another one after that, part two. So they finally got something done, and I'll keep you up to date here. So make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. Literally just click subscribe and then click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live, which is every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest stimulus package video next. And this video is how there's two big Social Security raises the Democrats want to do as well to raise Social Security benefits by hundreds of dollars per month in the next stimulus package. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.